Alright, so these are the first two vehicles I ever made when I got into go-karts. So it all started with this one back here. This is what I have kind of dubbed the Speedster go-kart. The reason I call it the Speedster is it was really made just to go as fast as it could. So it was actually based on a pedal car. This seat used to be where the engine currently is, and it went through a bunch of different versions. I think there's a video up on the channel of me reviving it. Sometime I'll make a video just going through the different versions and what happened with each one. So it kind of failed at one point because I tried to make it perform beyond what it should have been able to, and I had to kind of take a step back and leave it where it was. In its prime, this was back in the summer of 2018, in this vehicle's prime, we don't know how fast it was going. The way we would track speeds is my buddy had a speedometer on his bicycle, and he would just ride next to me. And I know the fastest we ever got it going was 26 or 27. That was recorded. Eventually, this thing was going beyond what my buddy could keep up with. So we think it was going over 30 miles an hour. It had no brakes. There was only one version that had brakes. They worked once, and I almost crashed it as a result. Yeah, it was sketchy. I learned some hard lessons about caster angle with this thing after I crashed it into the side of a curb. It was nuts. It still somewhat runs off of a Predator 79cc. This is the original engine. This is the first engine I ever bought, not found. And it's been a pretty cool go-kart. The reason it's in here, along with the chopper, which I'm going to talk about the chopper in a minute, I am retiring this project. I am too big to fit in this thing. I was too big when I built it, and I'm even bigger now. And I don't fit in it. It's very uncomfortable to drive. It's very sketchy to drive because my steering geometry is very bad. It kind of pulls to one direction, and once you get going fast, it's very sketchy. It still doesn't have brakes. This thing, the seat was duct taped down, even more sketchy. This was all belt driven, so the way it worked is you just set the engine speed wherever you wanted it, and this pedal here would pull on the pulley back here, tighten up the belt, and you go on your merry way. I had two different pulleys that I could put on the engine. One was kind of a cruising pulley, and the other was what I was hitting 30 or so miles an hour with. So yeah, I am retiring this project. I'm not going to take it apart because this thing means too much to me, but I see no reason to keep it running if I can't drive it. This engine has been sitting out in the weather, and I don't want to do that to this poor little project, so I'm going to retire it. I'd like to someday kind of display it if possible. Yeah, because this is where the whole go-kart thing started. So that's that. We're going to be pulling the engine off of it, and then we'll park it. The reason the chopper is in the shop today, this is the second thing I ever built. So after I built the Speedster, this is still the summer of 2018, I'm like, man, mini bikes are really cool. I want to try building one. And so just out of the blue, I had this lawnmower. Oh, here we are. I had this lawnmower, whatever you want to call it, deck. And this was actually the first lawnmower that I had ever found, which had the first engine I ever found, which maybe we'll try to get it running sometime. And so immediately my mind went to, that's a motorcycle fender, and I chopped it all up. I'll put some pictures of the original bike. It was a monstrosity. I made my own drivetrain out of bicycle parts, this really sketchy jack shaft that was actually from the snowblower, the very first snowblower that I found. Just all sorts of sketchy stuff. And this one, it used a bicycle front wheel, and so I was like, hey, I'll get a bicycle speedometer. And I did that. It went 31 miles an hour, still with no brakes. I didn't really have a thing for brakes back then. And it was just a cool bike. Eventually the drivetrain blew up. Big surprise there. And I parked it, and then I kind of revived it. I rebuilt the parts of the frame. I chopped up the fender to be more normal fender-ish. I got a new back wheel for it. This is an actual like mini bike wheel. And it was pretty good. From there, it used an older snowblower engine, but it's always been very uncomfortable to ride. The seat's not on it right now. There's usually just a bicycle seat. Very uncomfortable to ride, very sketchy. The whole neck pivot tube, whatever this is called, it's just made by two pipes that fit in each other and they just spin. Really not at all how it's supposed to be. I did make this coffin fuel tank for it, which there's a video of. Somehow it's the most popular video on the channel, is that fuel tank. But again, the reason that this is in here is I am also going to retire this project because it is very, not as sketchy as the Speedster, but this is a sketchy bike to ride. It's very uncomfortable, and I hardly find time to ride it. So we're going to be pulling the engine off of this. This engine does not really run well either, so that will be coming off. But the reason this is going to be a video, not just me working in the garage, is I am going to dismantle the Chopper mini bike, and I'm going to build a new mini bike using the red Tecumseh that I got running in a previous video. And yeah, so we're gonna take some drivetrain parts off of this, and we're gonna come up with a much more usable bike. I'm not chopping this frame. I'm not cutting it up because again, this frame means a lot to me as well, as does that Speedster. But it's just getting retired and dismantled. I'd love to display both of them. And yeah, so we're gonna just do some quick dismantling, and then we're gonna get to planning out this new mini bike. See what that might look like. Let's get to work. I'm gonna start with the Speedster, get the engine off of it. These things are so tiny, but they're fantastic little engines. They are great for their size. So I'll keep this in here, make sure it runs right. Might go on another project, but I don't know, maybe we'll revive the Speedster again for a day or two. So, well, that is the Speedster done. Officially retired. All right, let's get on to this. We are doing a full dismantle. Engine, drivetrain, all that good stuff. Let's get started. So I feel the need to pause here and take a minute to acknowledge the coffin fuel tank. I have not really made any updates ever since the video that I made making this thing. You can go watch the video. For some reason, it is the most popular video on my channel. So I guess now is a good time to update how the coffin tank is. You notice all the brown and all the gray stuff? That is just my attempts to seal this tank because I MIG welded it. More specifically, really cheap Harbor Freight gasless welder MIG welded it, and that does not in any way seal. So I had to go for like 3 rounds of fuel tank sealant. But it seals pretty well now. It's not a very big capacity tank. It looks kind of cool. I should really clean it up and paint it. That would make it look better, but shape-wise, it's kind of cool. So, what is this? Oh, it's made from grill. It's made from the lid of a grill. So yeah, that's the update on this. It's coming off the chopper, and it might go on the new bike if it fits the bike. So, yeah, that's the update on the coffin tank. So this is an old Briggs & Stratton. I don't know how old. I could figure it out. I find like a VIN number or whatever those stamp numbers on the engine. I could probably figure it out, but I have not found that yet. This engine was given to me by a friend. Very nice of him. I had to do some work to bring it back to life, and it kind of keeps perpetually dying. The compression is like incredible. It's beyond, like this pull cord, you can pull it on the mini bike and you'll pick up the whole mini bike just from the compression of this engine. It's pretty wild. The only thing that's killing it is vacuum leaks on the carburetor. So like a new carburetor would fix this engine. So I'm gonna put it on the shelf though for now. And it's good to know I have this for a future project. I don't know what that project might be, but we've got it in stock. There is a clutch on this engine. I can probably pull it up. I don't know what size crankshaft the Tecumseh, the red Tecumseh is, but this I know is a 1/4 inch, and then I do have a 5/8. So either way, I'm good to go with the clutches. So yeah, so that's the story on this engine. This is the 3rd engine that's been on this bike. The first engine was actually the Predator from the Speedster, because the Speedster had kind of died when this was being built. And then eventually that Predator went back onto the Speedster, and I had a snowblower. I think it was a 123cc snowblower engine, which I love that 123 number. And that was actually off of my neighbor's snowblower that they were throwing out. That engine eventually did die just because of carburetor issues. It also got hydrolock, but I fixed it. It was the carburetor that was shot. And then this one went on, and it lasted for a little while. It's just the vacuum leaks. This engine is kind of having, this carburetor rather, is on its last leg. So yeah, so that's this engine. Let's shelve it, and